Hi there, Totally Amazing here, the home of scientific knowledge, discovery, research, truth, and of course, failed product time since the 1st of January 2K19. As you can see, the Doctor is much fresh, getting ready to go out. Now, this video is dedicated for Brody. Brody, this one is for you. Don't ever purchase one of these from Poundland, because otherwise you will, in the words of Jim Carrey from his Ventura Pet Detective, you would be a loser. Let's get on. Loser. I've just knocked something over. Anyway, let's get on and have a look at our failed product, which is this two-way adapter. What we'll need is a little bit of light here, and as we can see, here's the problem straight away. Let's just point to it. Maximum rating of 13 amps only. Don't exceed 13 amps. Well, here's where the problem lays, because this product is not fitted with a fuse. Now, that's actually a fail under the BS, which is British Standard Regulations 1363, which governs sockets and socket outlets. We have here the yellow book, which is the requirements for electrical installations. Now, this book is a little bit out of date because we're now on the blue book, as it's the 18th edition. But as you can see here by the hologram, it is a genuine book. Now, if we go straight away to, here we are, page 178, subsection 553, and we're looking at 553.1. Let's zoom in. As you can see, I've spoken about this before. There's the regulations there. Now, fused plugs and shuttered socket outlets have a maximum rating of 13 amps. That's in the table there of 5.1 for low voltage circuits, and something's just fallen out into my hands. Now, this is why this is a failure with that socket. Let's just get rid of this for the moment. And as we can say, it's not fitted with a fuse. Now, here's the problem. Okay, if you have a single socket outlet on a radial sockets installed here in the UK have a maximum rated output, a maximum rating that you are allowed through there of 20 amps. Now, if this is not, let's just open, in fact, let's get our gloves on, because we are the Doctor. And these are a brand new packet also out of Poundland. These are just going to come out in a horrible mess. But what you're going to do is have a look and see just how that socket adapter fails. So basically, here in the UK, radial circuits have a maximum rating of 20 amps. That's what you can pull through them on a 20 amp breaker. Now, the wiring for these is also 2.5 mil squared. I'm just also having an afternoon beer. Now, here's where the problem begins. Let's just pull the thing out its packaging. So, and clearly, straight away, it's not fitted with a fuse there at all. As we can see, no fuse there. We can zoom in on that more, and we can try to have a look at that. See, no fuse. Now, here's the problem, because if you plug that in like so, now let's just say then that's on a radial circuit and your house is cold and you want to warm your house up and all you have is an electric heater. Well, then you would plug in your electric heater at the top, which would be rated for 13 amp at around 3 kilowatts or so. And now you have a spare socket. So now you want to do some vacuuming, and a vacuum cleaner is also going to be 13 amps. Well, congratulations then, because then you've just overloaded a radial circuit by 6 amps. Now, as we said, radial circuits are rated for 20 amps. That's the requirements for those. So if basically your circuit breaker is 20 amps, you plug that in, well, you've just overloaded your household wiring, because 2.5mm squared household wiring in any event on a radial has a maximum rating for 20 amps. Now, the other additional problem with this is this doesn't have any fused protection there at all, and that basically means that then that the only protection that you have is actually your fuse box or consumer unit. Now, if you have one of the older type that doesn't have the RCD protection, or if indeed there's a failure there, then there's nothing stopping you from pulling the whole lot through. Now, if you're on a ring final circuit, those are rated for 32 amps. Here's where that problem can be as well. So ring final, I mean, you could even have a radial here, so you can have that as a radial. You could have 26 amps through there alone, and then a further 13 amps there, which would give you 39 amps, which is a definite overload. Now, on a ring final circuit, the maximum rated current on those is 32 amps. So let's just say then in your living room, you wanted to heat your living room because you don't have any kind of central heating. Your electric heater would plug in there, that's 13 amps. You're doing your vacuuming, there's another 13 amps. And then you have a TV installed as well, so it's 26, that's nearly 30 amps straight away. And let's just say then you wanted to have 2 of these, well then you could potentially be pulling 52 amps through there. And that's a definite no-no. Now also, with regards to that, I'm not sure quite how flame retardant this is, but we'll get to that another day. So the possibility is certainly there that you can overload. And is there actually a crack in there? I think that's cracked. That's a failure straight away. And I can actually shove a screwdriver straight into that anyway. So regardless of it being shattered, I can just shove something in there anyway. Let's try with, yeah, I can get that in there. That's a failure in any event. You shouldn't be able to do that. It's very poor. So yes, you can certainly overload your wiring with that. Now the dangers are, if you was to do that, let's just say for argument's sake you had 2 heaters in there, then that's 26 amps, and a vacuum cleaner, or 3 lots of 13 amps there, so giving you 39 amps. And yeah, if you didn't have proper RCD or RCBO protection, you could theoretically overload your household wiring, and then the issue there is you could end up with an electrical fire in your household wiring. Now, given the fact that these are mounted to walls, the household wiring would be obviously behind your wall. At the weakest point where the wiring is, you would end up with a fire. Now, that issue is basically you may not know that there's a fire going on behind your walls, and you could theoretically burn your house down. And again, anyway, there's no limit there to the kind of current you could pull out, so theoretically, again, on a ring final, there's nothing stopping you from getting 32 amp out of that, which again contravenes the rules on socket outlets, because they should only have a maximum rating of 13 amps Anyway, so as far as their claim of BS 1363 goes, I think the claim is total BS. But we're not just going to stop there. We're going to actually have a look and see if this thing is even manufactured correctly at all. Here we actually have a socket outlet that has power on there. And that sort of disconnected itself. So we'll just plug that back in. And as you can see, that is illuminated and this is live. So what we're going to do, first of all, we'll try with our socket tester. All of these should be functioning. Let's zoom out. There we go. All of these should be functioning correctly. That's fine. Now we're going to test our dangerous little adapter here. Well, okay, that's wired up fine. And that's wired up fine as well. So, whereas it is wired up fine, it still is unfused, which is against the regulations. Again, that's not really satisfactory. I can almost prise that apart with my hands. It's quite poorly made. So you shouldn't be able to shear that at all with your hands. And that's a fail. Now at some point in the future we're also going to do a flame test on this and see if the thing will combust. What I'm doing here is taking this thing apart so you can have a look inside, and then we'll see about the other problem that this has. This thing's all going to fly apart because of the shutters in here. Not very well made. There we are. And that is essentially what's inside. Now the problem is with this, most of these components here, that's not going to be able to handle, I wouldn't have thought, a 26 amp load. So that's a definite fail. It's actually going to be a huge fail there. As we can see, even these shutters are of fairly poor quality. So that one's actually, it's not even seated right there, and the spring there has actually jumped out of place, as we can see. So that's actually a huge fail on that, and that's the internal. Now that's the other problem as well, because theoretically there's nothing stopping you now from plugging that in, and although you wouldn't actually do that, there's nothing stopping you indeed from doing that anyway. There should be some method of at least this thing falling apart completely. Now I am going to put this back together because at some point I'm actually going to take this outside and do a flame test on this and see if it will actually burn. Because this plastic anyway doesn't seem to me like it's going to be particularly fireproof. If I can even get the thing back together, which may prove more difficult than, I don't think we'll be getting that together anytime soon. It's actually completely blown itself apart. That's unfortunate then, isn't it? I think we should actually put that in there. Somehow, is it going to get that together, maybe? Sort of, possibly. Let's see if we can get that back together. Now what we will do is, because of obviously regulations with these things, they actually should be made fireproof. And that means when I pass a blowtorch near this, it shouldn't sustain a burn at all. As you can see, putting that back together met with very limited success. Oh gosh, kind of cheaply made, but I think we actually have put it back together, so it's at least somewhat functioning. Now what they have got correct with this is here in the UK, obviously by British standard, 1363 regulations. The earth pin is actually correct. That's fine, because you do not have any sleeving on those. And obviously these, the line and neutral pins, should be. And again, I should not be able, kind of, but yeah, plausible. But again, with regards to those shutters, I can still shove something in there like that. Now again, for the fact that those are not fused, there's nothing stopping me from having, as I said, 2 of those in there and having up to 52 amps coming through that. And as already said, on a ring final circuit, the maximum rated current on a ring final on a household domestic installation is going to be 32 amps. So that would be a huge overload and definitely could result in fire. Now, hopefully, with luck, you would have, bear with me, let's just go and get these 2 things, which we'll talk about another day. Hopefully, inside your house, you would have these installed. Now, these are RCBOs, but you can get just straight RCDs as well. And these are actually mounted inside your consumer unit or your fuse board. And in the event of an overload or some fire or a short circuit somewhere or an overcurrent or an overvoltage, they would just simply trip off. And then all you would do is remove the fault, go back to your consumer unit and turn these back on. Now again, not all houses actually have these, and there are many houses I have certainly been to along the years, and indeed they still have the older type fuse boards, and that's a problem because, as we said, you could overload that quite easily. And in fact, actually, just that one on that double socket there, because this is only rated as well for 13 amps per side, just having that there means you've exceeded already the maximum permitted load on that socket outlet, and you could also overload that by a further 13 amp when this thing is only rated for a maximum 13 amp per side. So that would be a huge fail there. So in short, with regards to these things, yeah, don't buy it. Don't purchase one at all. This, as I said, was purchased out of Poundland from a brand name by Status. Well, I would say their status is confirmed. Their pass, yeah, passes? No, I don't think so. That's actually a failure straight away. So you can get rid of that. Put it in the bin. Yeah, I mean, that's probably about one of the only correct things on there. Now, there is the CE mark on this as well. And again, well, there should be a CE marking on it. Well, this doesn't even have the CE marking on there, bottom line. So, conformity to any European standard? I don't think so. It's another one of these stupid confirmed eradication devices. The only thing suitable for it is going to be a flame test. So that will be done using a blowtorch and outside. So anyway, this has been yours truly. Don't buy one of those. They're really not worth it. I'm going to continue having my beer and reverse engineer myself. So obviously I'm a little bit fresher now. I was on the sauce last night. Definitely a lot fresher. And again, Brody, don't be a loser, because if you did buy one of those and used it and it burned your house down, then a loser is what you would be. Steer clear of things like that. This has been yours truly, totally amazing, the Doctor. And I will see you next time. Ciao. Bye.